Here we go. Yeah, it's included. Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's what I'm asking about.
Yeah.
According to this number, 43.4% above. Yes.
Opening of the county council meeting for Tuesday, June the 4th, Whitelaw Town Hall meeting. Okay, we start with the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call, please?
Scott Glover.
Here.
Brian Hill.
Here.
Jesse Merle. Here. Austin Page.
Present.
And Connie Reed.
Here. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 7th, 2024?
I make a motion to approve the May 7th meeting minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. On public comments, on the sign-up sheet, we have got Mike McCardle. Mike? Good evening.
Hi. For the financial statement, I'm a little confused. Because according to the financial statement, the revenue is $2.6 million, expenses $2.1, gives us $465,631 to the positive. So I'm just curious where our tax problem is. If the statement doesn't truly reflect what's going on, why bother giving it out? And if it does, we're in pretty good shape. So maybe one of you folks can ask for clarification. So, thank you.
Get down now, we have Janet McCardle.
I just want to say that I don't believe some of what's being proposed in the wish list budget is not needed or necessary. I wish we were a Brentwood that could give Chief Chris, Eric, and Misty everything they're asking. But I think in this economy you need to prioritize what goes first and what may have to wait a year or two. You say there's a shortfall this fiscal year, but if this was a family budget, which was short last year, it would be completely inappropriate for that family to address said shortfall by going on a spending spree. And that's exactly what I see this proposed budget as. You're asking to keep the same tax rate during a reassessment year when it is supposed to be revenue neutral. Said spending spree is on the backs of people's biggest investment, the appreciation of their home. Some of the increase in cost is due to inflation. This is totally different than the cost increase due to new spending or growth. You created the problem by approving high-density overdevelopment, which comes at a cost, both financially and in quality of life. And now you're asking the taxpayers to pay for it. And I assure you, this is just the beginning of increased cost every year. I did a calculation on friends' homes with the new assessments keeping the 6.6 tax rate. It would increase their taxes 42%, 55%, 60%, and 73%. Now, a couple $100 might not bother some people, but this plus accumulated life's inflation will hurt many. we still don't know what the county's gonna do with their tax rate. And what I really can't understand is why I, an outsider, am fighting for people that this will hurt the most. People that some of y'all grew up with. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, next we have Rob Wagner,
Wagner.
sorry, Rob.
It's all right. Those pens get me. It's that gel pen and it spreads and my math teacher used to make me use a really fine point mechanical pencil.
I got one.
There you go.
That's all I would use.
That's all I can stand anymore. I hope you don't mind the water bottle. I'm water powered.
No, go ahead.
So, Rob Wagner, 1205 White Bluff Road. I'm retired and on a fixed income. Ooh, it's actually cool, right? A tax increase is not going to bankrupt me. The inflation has impacted my quality of life already, right? And the truth is that I'm here for my daughter and my grandkids. Those are the important people to me. I just got home from a week's trip. My grandson didn't want me to leave, but long term I need to come share my peace, right? So as usual, this inflation started around gas price increases. And then it drove up fuel, groceries, utilities. Businesses then had to raise their prices to cover cost of goods. The $5 footlong ain't no more, right? We're getting to the point where it's easier to say, or ask the question, what hasn't gone up? And the reality is what hasn't gone up is most people's paychecks. That's what I'm struggling with. I'm struggling with, my daughter is a paramedic, that's why I'm here. The whole reason that I really care is my daughter and my grandkids. She's a paramedic for Williamson County. They pay best in the area. And she's gotten to the point where she must work at least one overtime shift every paycheck just to make ends meet. Her homeowner's insurance over doubled this year. She was planning to replace her car last year, but can't because of all the increases. So I struggle with everything else snowballing, and with the city here to not support, protect, encourage, support, protect, guide our citizens. Why are we pricing some of them out of their homes when it comes to taxes and everything else? Now, I heard comments that there are programs you can apply for. That doesn't mean you're going to get them. That can help with taxes. My big request is can we stay revenue neutral? I understand everybody has their wish list, but I agree we need an extra police officer. But why are we having to hire this police officer? Because of the growth we've incurred over the past few years. We have more citizens now. We need more police officers, higher density. That does have an impact on police officers. So my concern is we signed up for this, and now our taxpayers are having to pay for it. That frustrates me. Why 6 police cars? Can they be phased? Do they all have to be this year? Now, I understand in some of the proposed budget, there's cloud services. I spent my career in IT. Cloud services are a great way to get you in and get you spending a lot more money. Now, I understand there's cybersecurity and all of that. Everybody's getting hacked, whether they have it or not. And then what's the liability of that? I'm not saying there's a perfect answer here. There isn't. But I understand that the city has to operate on a budget just like everybody else. Can we help our homeowners and, again, not price them out of their property? What I'd love to see a revenue neutral solution this year. A last minute price increase, shocking. I mean, it really is. We've taken too much of it. It's not just $13 here or $15 there, but it's every one of these things adding up. Would it be fair to ask for a long-term budget plan? What about a 5-year strategic budget? Can we do incremental increases over the next few years. If we have some hurdle to get over, does it all have to be at once? So my ask is, we've all had enough increases this year. Can we target a revenue neutral solution for the year? And then can we put together a long-term plan on how we can manage these increases over the next few years? Thank you.
Okay, I think we talked about the financial statements Thursday night. None of you had any calls, any questions, anything? No, okay, then. So if there's no questions on that tonight, we'll go on down to the next. Consider on first reading amendment of the fiscal year 2023-24 townwide budget, the current budget.
There's one, I went back and looked at the parts, and we are gonna have to amend that. I gave Johnny Ray accolades last time, I shouldn't have. I wouldn't think, I looked back and I noticed the repair that we had to make on there, on the playground. So I bumped that up $20,000 more. That's probably a little bit too much, probably about $10,000 too much, but I just don't know what's going, could happen, like under supplies and materials, we've been really good there, but that's the only change I have made to it.
Okay, and what was the total amount that we're having to amend?
We need to, from 28,000 to 48,000. From 28,000 to 48,000.
That's how much we're amending budget.
That's right, $20,000.
Okay.
For the Parks and
That
Recreation.
is correct. Remember that,
So, our original budget was $28,000 for repair and maintenance for Parks and Recreation. What have we spent today?
I didn't bring that paperwork with me.
And do you expect us to spend more the next month?
No. This is just to take care of that 12,000, 15,000, something like that, more. When we had the playground.
All right.
I didn't include that in the amendment, that's the last time.
Right. You're talking about the repairs to field the drains?
Repair the field drain, that is correct.
What have we spent? We don't know what we spent so far.
Well, I've got it in my town analysis in my office. Let me make sure I don't have it here with me.
Is there just $20,000 just to be safe increase?
Well, it's gonna be a little bit, I don't think, we don't have to use all of it, I'm pretty sure we won't. Parks and Recreation, let's see. Yeah, we've already used 101% of our budget. So we're over $8,458.
So, take care of, do you suspect that there's going to be more over expenses in the next month?
No.
But we still want to raise the point?
Yeah.
Take care of the 8,000?
That's to take care of what we've already spent, yeah.
Would 10,000 work?
I think it, maybe the 12,000 would work. But I just don't know what's going to come up, like that air conditioning center laid care of. I mean, or even out at the civic center or anything you could care of. I like the budget a little high on that kind of stuff, so we won't be having to come back and keep on amending and keep on amending.
So just because we amend this much does not mean we're
We have to
reducing that
spend.
much. It means that we're giving ourselves a cushion.
And Melody, just for clarity, it's increased 20 and 10 spent. The other 10, it falls back into
It
general.
goes right back into the general fund, that is correct.
It doesn't disappear.
We're depositing more just in case
Just in case
that we
something
need to.
unforeseen happens, but we're not gonna go out and say, well, they put more money, so we're gonna repair something. That's not the case.
Okay. Thank you for
Okay. So this is the first reading amendment. Do I hear a motion to approve? Oh, hold on. Yeah, amendment of the fiscal year. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the amendment on first reading.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I do have a question before we vote on it. So when I'm looking at, for instance, this is a copy of one of the budgets, the all-inclusive budget. For the 23-24 budget amount, the total expenses there listed was $2,704,245. But when I look at this amended budget, it has the expenses listed as $2,713,521.
And that's in parts, is that correct?
Well, that's for everything.
Oh.
I'm just wondering why there's roughly a $9,000 difference there between those two sheets.
And that's at the end of the,
Is this, is that the end of the amendment?
Yes,
Okay.
at the end of the amendment.
go through that again.
The packet number 3, the amended budget on the last sheet, the total expenses on the left column, the $2,713,521 is different from the expenses that we have listed on the proposed budget for 23-24 in our new budget packet. And I'm just wondering what that difference is from.
And that's on the all-inclusive?
Yes. But it's looking at our current fiscal year, which is about to end.
Yeah. I think it's what,
Do we have final figures to put in the year that's about to end, Melody?
it must be an expense that we, without my notes, I don't have my notes, Stephanie. I can call you tomorrow and let you know.
Okay.
If you take the numbers for you, making sure.
Councilman Merle,
Yes.
to make sure I'm looking at the right thing too, the very last page of the amended budget, you're showing 1.54 in the general fund, that left column
Yes.
there. And this is 9,000 and change difference.
Yes.
I guess that's the question, right? Why are those two different when they should be the same?
Theoretically, yes.
And I guess in whenever the final numbers come in, they need to be in the 24-25 budget of what was spent, and that could still be a little bit in flux, but yeah. I mean, at the end of the fiscal year, they need to match.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. We don't have a,
You know, it's not the end of the fiscal year yet,
Right.
so it's not, they're not going to that.
It's always a
Yeah.
moving target to an extent,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we knew which department or where that difference came from.
It could be, I have to research it and see.
Okay.
I'm afraid to say with it, just out of the top of my head.
So when we amend this budget, right now, it looks like it's gonna be $153,757 more than what we planned for. Okay. I'm sorry. We have a motion to approve, Connie Reed, Ken Kane, second. All in favor to approve on first reading?
Aye.
All opposed? Everybody voted? No?
No, I didn't.
You did? Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to say no.
Yeah, let's say no to what?
I don't approve.
You don't approve what?
What we're voting on? Yeah. 4-1.
Okay, so it's approved, okay, okay. Oh, consider residential trash pickup bids and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract. That's Thursday, do I hear a bid to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the Cumberland disposal.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And is that as stated, authorizing the mayor to enter into the contract?
As
We've got to
stated.
finalize that.
Yes, sir.
We'll be for that amount.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Consider on first reading the townwide budget for the fiscal year 2024-25. I think this was discussed Thursday, so I'm just gonna start out by saying, do I hear a motion to approve one of the budgets on first reading?
I'll make a motion to approve the all-inclusive budget with the amendment, which I think Misty has already looked up, for a $2 increase for the patrol officers, as well as the starting salary of a new officer.
So I hear a motion to approve with an amendment. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Does the $2 an hour increase, is that roughly the 10% increase that you were requesting?
I believe it's pretty close. So we chose not to go on a percentage because I didn't want to touch the scale of what all the government employees were looking at, because the scale may be completely fine. I was seeing it as a one-time adjustment to get it to where the, for lack of a better term, the industry is at right now. So honestly, I don't know the exact percentage. I wasn't looking at it that way because the scale, the 5% scale may be fine, but as we all know, when you run businesses, sometimes the market changes and you just have to dramatically do an adjustment. So
We actually have, it's in here, I think, that piece of paper that shows what the 2% was. If I can locate that. Anyway.
Right here. Is that it? The
Yes,
position?
ma'am, that is the correct one.
So is the $2 an hour increase, is that on top of what the chief proposed, or?
yes, that would start our new officer at 26, which is about what market range was. So that was for the patrol officers. I was not touching what was suggested for the assistant chief or the chief.
I don't see, wait, one second. Okay, down here at the bottom, the 26 becomes 28.
No, I think Misty you already changed this on here, I believe.
Chris actually went back and amended it, so if you look at the top, it says amended June 3rd.
Okay.
He resubmitted.
So I'd already spoke with her this week, and so what you're actually looking at is what I'm suggesting. I just wanted to do it in an official fashion.
Okay, so that adjusts the numbers that we looked at on Thursday. And that's correct, the budget has been adjusted to reflect those new numbers.
We didn't go in and actually adjust the budget. We worked at the numbers. It's a difference of $66,865. So at the very end, the net income loss, general fund,
it would, change that to $1,071,090 for your general fund balance.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Yes.
I usually, I include the cost.
Uh-huh.
Wait a minute.
That's the number, that's not the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Hang on, let me find the right budget. Okay, yeah.
Since you've dug into this, so that would start them at 20,
That would start a new officer at 26.
okay, so the only thing I'm looking at, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, so if we don't do chief and assistant chief, then that leaves the assistant chief at the same pay rate as the new starting officer, right?
Assistant chief would be 32.
Well, under current, which is what they're making now, if we did raise them, they would stay at 26, the assistant chief, see that figure? Under-
So,
Is that what Joe was saying, you were going to include assistant chief and chief of staff?
so if you noticed, the assistant chief and the chief had already, and again, I'm not as familiar with their pay scale, but it looked like they were on a little bit different scale than it was a patrol officer was. And so that's why I was omitting those two elements and just taking what was originally
Okay,
suggested.
so they will also get a raise, just
Yes.
not, okay, I'm with you.
Yes.
That makes sense,
Yes.
okay.
So you'd expect that to be at the top of the line here, and it's not.
Well, that's because it's needed, it's why you say that.
I got you, okay.
So I was simply taking what the chief suggested for the chief and assistant chief, and then I was personally amending the patrol officers.
I'm with you, okay.
And I may not be using the correct vernacular for that.
I'm with you now, I'm a little slow.
That's okay.
Stephanie, on that all-inclusive budget, that actually includes the extra officer, so that difference is going to be $71,024. So that would put your fund balance at $1,062,410. $1,062,410.
I think that, for me, one of my biggest concerns looking at this evening, is that we just amended the 23-24 fiscal year budget, which is basically going to take $153,000, almost $154,000 out of the general fund balance. And then we're seeing that the revenue may not come in the way we expected, so that's like another $75,000 roughly or more.
The revenue for the fiscal year we're in now? Yes.
Yes. So that's over $225 that's coming out of the fund balance. And then with this budget, even at keeping the tax rate at the 60-cent tax rate, we're going to be taking out over $400,000 just to fund this budget for the upcoming year. And in my opinion, that is a very big ask for one financial year.
Not as the biggest cost of it, it's, security stuff, IT stuff.
Well, and I don't disagree with you, but the things that I would look at, from my point of view, is that we should have done some of this last year, which would have lightened the burden, not the burden, but the actual shell shock. But also, and some things may have to be cut. But, and I can't, with good faith, vote against the trash service. Obviously, we need that as a city, but, $250,000 going toward trash, that's my issue. I don't feel that we should take away from, the officers to pay for trash. I just don't.
I don't either, but in my opinion, I think there needs to be some concessions made. For instance, if we are going to increase the police officer's salary, then I think the police cars need to wait another year.
I would be okay with discussing not so many police cars. The only thing that I worry about is, and this is above my pay grade, but if we hurt ourselves by buying 2 rather than 6 as far as our cost per unit or our financial, levy, that we, and if not, then I would be okay with doing that in increments, if you guys want to discuss that.
But didn't we hear, didn't she say that they're starting to have issues?
He said three,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So I think we would at least have to do, we at least have to do three.
Well, no, well, he asked for it, that the budget actually contains
Exactly.
six.
Correct. He said he really, you know, it's always better to go ahead and get a whole fleet, because they're going to go up in price. Because they went up like $20,000 since the last that we bought.
I just don't know if there's, we're a smaller community,
Yeah.
but I don't know if there's very many police departments that goes through and replaces the entire fleet at once.
I don't either, I don't know how they do it.
And these are for new vehicles.
Yes.
And to my understanding, I had some conversations with the chief, of course, feel free to speak for himself, but from our conversation, what that would do is the three that were in complete disrepair would be sold. The three that were adequate, one would be earmarked for, because right now we actually have a part-time gentleman who's using, his investigator who's using his personal vehicle, which to me, honestly, just sad to me, honestly, that someone has to use in that line of work. One would be a just in case, and for a new officer, probably the new officer would be receiving, and as far as the not new but adequate, and then the third would be a just in case the unit goes down, which for me, I've ran a fleet before, having a just in case unit goes down vehicle sitting there is priceless. So I understand the six is a lot. And again, part of this, in my opinion, is how much do we, because really that is the rub, isn't it? Because I drive old vehicles, I know how I drive old vehicles, is at what point are we wanting to just take care of this? So that's the rub.
Well, I'm thinking about the payment too, and I can see both sides of this, so I'm not really, but you have to think about the payment. We will make the payment. The payment will be made, we always do, we do a capital loan and get them all at one time, and we'll make the payment easier out of the budget right now with the price of vehicles than if we buy 3 this year, and then we wait and try and buy another 3 2 years from now, then that's just going to be another payment. And they're probably going to be more expensive 3 years from now. That's something we don't know, but I'm just going by the way car prices are going up now. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation. Do you go ahead and get all 6 now, get your payments set, and make it for the next 5 years, or do you get a payment set for 3 cars, and then 2 years from now, you've got to go back and, I guess, get 3 more cars. It's another payment on top of that, plus maybe an extra car.
That would be my question, if we, and everything's just if, but if the cars cost more and the money we spend on the repairs, do we equal out just to go ahead and do it? I would like to think that we could get a better price on 6, but I don't know that that's factual. Does anybody?
I think with the state, it's just a set rate.
It is.
I don't think they offer a
It's
flat
not
rate.
gonna matter.
No, it's not like
There's no
going
gold
to a
rush.
dealer.
Right.
It's a set
We're
rate.
not gonna do that. So I see both sides of that too.
There's a fair argument to be made for both sides.
Right.
And they're both fair.
Yeah.
And you don't know until you're in hindsight.
Do we have any surplus vehicles or drug seizure vehicles that are pending sale?
We actually have about 12 vehicles out there that I need to sell currently.
And all of that would go toward the police budget?
It would go into the drug fund. And the drug fund can be used for a one-time expense, such as vehicles. It just can't be used for reoccurring.
Right.
We couldn't use that account for maintenance of all the other vehicles, right?
Correct. Can't use it for
Correct.
maintenance, but we could use it. If we bought vehicle, we wanted to buy 6 dozen of tires, as long as we bought it at the same time, they would consider that part of the original package. But you can't buy the vehicles, then go back and buy tires, a month now.
Tell me again, what this figure was, in the general fund. I was looking at something else.
Oh, the difference?
Yeah, in the all-inclusive budget. What's the general fund balance, what would be when you take out that 40?
Oh, 1,062,410. That's what Nikki was telling us. That's what the general fund balance is drawn to.
If we took out, what, how much?
You took out, the difference is $71,024 of what the suggested.
That's for the police department.
Yeah. So the suggested, salary was, $492,460. That's for 7 officers at the amended proposed salary.
Okay, police department, the salary now would be, tell me again? If we amended it, I mean,
If you amended it, it would be $492,460.
Okay. All right. Okay, so can we go back, can I get, what the original motion was from Carl?
All right, so I was gonna ask him to repeat it, but this is so.
Okay, I can give it to you again, I don't mind. My original motion was to accept the all-inclusive as it sits with the amendment to adjust the patrol officer and beginning officer's salary by $2.
Okay, any more discussion?
So again, just to clarify, sorry. So with that revision,
Correct me if I'm wrong, that revision's roughly 71,024, that's what I'm getting, yes, ma'am?
so between the budget revenue shortfall, what we just amended the expenses for the 23-24 fiscal year, and what you're requesting to take out of the fund balance for the 24-25 fiscal year, with the tax rate remaining at 60 cents, is $715,000 coming out of the general fund balance. And I know that some of you have expressed wanting to have that fund balance built up in case of emergencies. So I'm just saying, that's a lot of money to take out at one time. And it concerns me enough that at this point, I would be a no vote for the budget.
I believe we ran the numbers, because the recommended amount was a quarter of a year's budget. That was the recommended amount, correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm sorry, the what?
I said, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe from the state, the recommended healthy general fund budget was a minimum of a quarter of a year.
25%.
25%, yes. And I believe Misty and I ran the numbers yesterday when I was up here, and with this general fund balance, that would put us, forgive me, I don't remember the number, but we were about at half to a quarter. So we were still within the adequate range, even of course my desire would be between a half and a full, but we were still at a half or around that. Because you had to deduct, you can't use the 47, 14, 725, because that still includes all the grants that flow through. So you have to go back and deduct all the grants from that as the flow through cash as your expenditures for the year. And then from that, calculate your quarter and your half to kind of find out where you're sitting.
So do you have that number with the grant deducted?
I mean, no. When we were looking at
when we were
the-
looking at, in this year, remember, we were taking out the grants and
The
figuring out where
audit,
we could.
and, there was one thing that I took out, was $100,000 loan.
Yeah, because we have a lot of grants to take out. Because right now, if you just look at it, you look at 47,14,725, and that's not a real number.
I'm sorry, give me just a moment. I'm working not with a great calculator over here.
We're used to an adding machine, not a phone calculator.
There are accountants over there.
We can add a machine.
Dude, come on, do math, do math.
She's doing a good job. I'm letting her handle a lot of this.
I'll try to help.
ARPA, we have one too. TennCare, not TennCare, but NetCare or something like that. We have one NetCare. He's looking at what the money that we got from the state.
$3,116,780. That is not with me running it twice, so we can write that number down. Give me another go.
That's
Make
what I
sure.
came up with also.
Okay.
If we're having two verifications, it's good. All right, so that would be our operating budget. Quarter of that would be $779,195. Correct me if anyone gives different math to me. And half of that is $1,558,390. So that would put us right in between the quarter and half as far as general fund balance at the end of the year. Probably somewhere around 35–40%.
Melody, did they give us any update on what the proposed new tax rate should be?
No, in fact, I've been keeping in contact with her. It's still a preliminary. They haven't heard back. Everything's been sent to the state. They just haven't, and she told me she'd email all the cities as soon as she gets it back. And I talk with her at least every other day. And she still, as of today, still has not gotten it back from the state. But the preliminary is the .3838.
So if we go with this budget, as Carl is proposing, and it drops us down to 34% for the fund balance, what happens if we have to amend the budget next year, and then for some reason it drops us down to 25% or less? Andrew, what does that do with the state?
I don't know the exact repercussions. I couldn't tell you in this meeting, but I can find out.
I think what we gotta look at is, the revenue, it looks like to me it cannot really be adjusted. Revenues, they've got to be what they are, JJ. pay what we owe, plus even try to try maybe to build up this general fund balance, but to get what, some of the people have been asking for, you know, do we have enough fire money? We got all this growth, but you haven't added any more fire money, you haven't added any more police, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. Now they're trying to. So, you know, that's kind of answering some of those questions, but yet, I'm on fixed income, I've told you all that a million times, and, we tried to figure out how much more my taxes would be, but I don't know, I can't remember what my reassessment value was, so I couldn't give them the right numbers to figure it out.
And the state on their website, Stephanie, and the comptroller's office has got some very good tools and estimators, and that's what we use, estimator tools. And that has really been a big help this year in projecting the budget, because it helps us with our intergovernmental revenues, it helps us with our sales tax, state, and also the local sales tax. So that's been very good. And also with our property tax.
What are they saying about our property tax? And is that at a reassessed, or is that at ours?
That's whenever we did the property tax, we did what the assessed value of what we have been given from the assessor's office.
Okay.
And we have a 95% collection, so tax levy is $878,108, but then with our 95% that we actually collect, it's $834,203.
Okay.
I wish they always had this. That has really been a big help for us.
So if you're wanting to do anything at all to this, I think really the only leverage we've got is if you see anything in the expenses.
Yes, I mean, I understand there's concerns about IT services. I can understand that, but for instance, the key card entry project for town hall, I can see that as being something that maybe we could postpone for another year. I understand there's security issues about that, but I think about my own job where I work, we're required to keep the doors locked at all times. And there are a few places that have key card entries, but all other doors have to be locked and unlocked with a key. So it is something that you have to get used to, but they rely on the employees to keep or to provide a certain level of security as well within the building, just using the good old-fashioned keys. I don't know if Chief Neal can talk about this or not, but do either one of our part-time firefighters, do they have the ability to become a full-time firefighter, or would that be a separate person altogether?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Eric?
Probably be a separate person.
Separate person.
And I know that we've had to move the street lighting over to the State Street Aid Fund in the past, and that has prevented us from doing paving projects, but if $75,000 could be moved back into the State Street Aid Fund, and that's less than would have to come out of the general fund balance. I think there are things that can be reworked from each department to bring down the total amount that's being pulled out of the fund balance at once.
But then we had, there was some discussion before the meeting started about paving. And they asked how come we could not pay just some short streets, like we did Happy Street, and that's because we have some extra money in the Street Aid Fund. When the lighting goes over there, and legally it can go over there and be paid out of that fund. When the lighting goes over there, that leaves us nothing to do any kind of paving. I mean, not even, and each year we've been trying to do small streets and small patches of paving just to keep things showing up. So, you know, it's whatever way you want to do it, but that is, that's how we did Happy Street, that's how we've done, we did we did Park Street, 1 year we did Park Street, in small increments like that.
And the Light Bluff Road project that we bought $450,000 for, it'll be paid for
2025.
2025, that is correct, in the fall of '25.
And we talked about, just in chatter, we talked about that before the meeting, that possibly we're going to have to do some pretty major paving here in the next 2 or 3 years. And it's going to be it's going to be volume. And so it's easier to make a capital outlay note and pay for it in 5 years. You can take that payment out of State Street 8 fund pretty easily and get it all done at one time. So we probably will have to do it that way, I would say. I don't know who will be making the decision anyway.
So since we had no paving projects this past fiscal year, correct, the 24-25 income is anticipated to be $228.5 thousand. So even if we move lighting back over to that, we would still have $143,000 that we could do paving.
Well, do we make a payment out of that, though, with the capital?
What?
Yeah, we have to make a payment out of the White Bluff Road.
But that's only $68,000, so yes, I see what you're saying, there wouldn't be any new pavement much like.
Right.
Okay.
But after 2020 outlay, like payment, so then that kind of helps that fund a little bit then, but then, that's what I'm saying, it's easier then to borrow several $100,000 and make that payment out of that, because you know you're going to get State Street 8 fund every year, that comes from the gasoline bill.
So, the $75,000 for street lighting, is that something we budget the same amount every year? And we've just been moving it around?
No. We get that, we do that on historical, we also can get it from the electric department. And we usually, Scott, we always paid it out of general fund balance. And last year, because of, we were short $135,000 last year, if you remember. And we didn't increase the taxes. We thought we just opened a prayer that maybe some of the other revenues would come in. So we moved it that year over to State Street 8 fund. You can pay it out of either balance. That lighting you can pay out of State Street 8 fund or out of general fund. So we moved it just for 1 year over to State Street 8 fund, back again to State Street 8 fund, just to make the general fund work better.
So the street lighting is not a specific project that we want to do. It's just an ongoing extension.
Yeah.
And you name it street lighting, but it encompasses way more than just
It's street lights, yeah.
It's street lights on
It's
the
street lights everywhere all over the city.
Okay.
It's the electric bill on the street light.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out, are we putting in new street lighting?
Oh, no.
Or we're just talking about street lighting?
No, it's the
I have
electric.
no idea what that means.
That's the existing street lighting, not any.
So this is the electric bill and repair bill for their existing street lights.
Just the electric bill, no repair bill.
I mean, Stephanie, when you're talking about the key fob project, I mean, I don't mind negotiating in that regard of going, okay, you let us take care of our cops with the raise and we won't do fobs this year, because that's close enough to a tit-for-tat exchange right there. To where it's not going to affect, I can entertain that conversation, but I'm not really as much inclined to moving the street light fund just because that ties our hands more on paper, which we've heard plenty of opinion about in the last year.
Hey, I can tell everybody, there's always going to be paving needs. I mean, every town, you got cars going up the street every day. There's always going to be paving needs. And we just have to keep up with it the best way we can and the most economical and feasible way we can.
Brian, what are your thoughts?
Well, I like the key fob, I think it's necessary.
I mean, I like it too.
However, I've heard a lot of street paving requests, and so I do think maybe, just go around, maybe we ought to focus on that the IT protection, you know, if we get hacked and they lock our system, that could cost half our budget to even get it out. So I almost think we have to do that with the key fobs. I mean, I'm definitely willing to trade police racers for key fobs, absolutely.
I just wanted to make just a personal story here. Right after we talked about this IT thing, well, I think we talked about it, but I don't know, somebody came and wanted to talk about the IT thing. I opened up my personal email yesterday morning. I was hacked, tried to be hacked by someone regarding an IRS form, which, you know, I knew immediately, no, but they had the IRS label. Some people would have done that. I have a contract with Kroger, $39 a year for free delivery, you know, that sort of thing. Just got a grocery delivery yesterday and immediately was, you know, got something from Kroger. And it all comes, when you look up there, it comes where it comes from some place called Isle of Shame. Every one of them, you know, I'm going, these people are idiots. And then I got hacked, tried to be hacked by someone through Google, trying to use Google. That was free, and I knew not to. Of course I did. But how many people don't know to not do that? It looks, I mean, you know, you can get these groceries, these products and groceries for 80% off. Well, that's pretty, you know, tempting to some people. What my point is, these people are out there. I have asked Melody just to safeguard, because now this directive has kind of come down from the governor's office. I've asked Melody to get in touch with Intask and see if we can get somebody down here for all the staff, and they can take it home to their families. The families can come, I don't care. But come down here and talk to us about how these people are hacking, what to look for, what to watch. Some people know and some don't. So that's my point on the IT. And I know that our sheriff's office was hacked, a couple of years back? And they hold you for ransom. You have no choice. You have to pay it. My daughter's big company, who is, he's one of the mucky nuts, the one that's one of the big investors that just has everything everyone owns it. They were hacked. And held them ransom, and they had to pay it. So that what really bothers me. I'm more interested in that than I am the key fobs. I like the key fobs, but right now, I think we can, you know, protect our office right now, and look at that in the future.
So should I amend my amendment?
Mayor, if I may, I wanted to talk a little bit about procedure, because obviously our budget encompasses a lot of things, and I know how my brain works. I'm going to jump around from different things. I think it might be best if y'all entertain taking up a motion, having a second, and discussing whether or not to amend certain parts of the budget. So, for example, I would make a motion to remove key fobs from the budget. There's a second, then you can talk about it, and then you vote on it, and then you know whether that item is staying in the budget or not, and y'all could do 10 of those. But I think you should take it topic by topic, go through Robert's rules, have a first and second, then debate it. Somebody call for a motion or a vote at some point. You know where this body sits, move on to the next topic. Because just jumping around, obviously, from a discussion standpoint, is good. You're in a discussion period right now. You have a first and a second on the main motion. You can certainly have amendment motions, as many as y'all want, and that's not uncommon with the budget. So y'all don't have to do that. I would just suggest, I think it would streamline how y'all want to proceed.
Well, we are going from one thing to another. I kind of agree with you, and that because it is discussion. And so maybe we start over. We've got the motion, we got the second. Let's start with the line items that, like, you want to amend, or the line item you want to amend, or Connie or anybody. Why don't we do it that way?
So if we've got a first and second on the police raises, we need to vote on that, and then continue on.
It's part of his main motion. So there could be a motion to remove that, if you want to take that up as an amendment, but the main motion includes the $2.
Gotcha.
So you'd have to have a motion and a full vote to take that off, or change it, or whatever.
Would it be beneficial for us to discuss or decide on the basics of keeping the 60-cent tax rate and removing items that would prevent us from having to take excess funds out of the general fund balance. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it could be any aspect of the budget, I think that's one. So, for example, if you want to reduce expenditures, you would need to pick something to reduce, which would, in effect, allow less of the general fund to come out. Now, always keep in mind, recurring expenses don't come out of the general fund, that's the tax part. When you're buying things, when there's capital expenditures, that's what can come out of the general fund. Typically, there's exceptions in both of those. So it's not always exactly a one-to-one, but yes, you're required to have a balanced budget on expenses, recurring expenses. For capital items, you can spend the entire general fund on a paving project. You're allowed to do that. That's not a good thing to do. But, that's going to be one of those differences that if you reduce a recurring expense, then, it's in kind of that category. If you reduce a purchased item that's not a recurring expense, it would be in that category. But overall, it would reduce the general fund drawdown, if you will.
So we've got in the revenue, we're projecting in the revenue $5,884,159.
That
Everybody-
includes the grant money.
Okay, that's what we've got. And some of that grant money, we might start drawing on that this year, some of it, the expenses, because we're starting on the connectivity.
But some of that that's in here is from approved grants, and some of it's not from approved grants yet. It's grants we're hoping we will get.
A minimal, yeah.
Okay. Because I believe Mr. Glover mentioned this the other night. Right now, we're looking at $486,942 coming out of the fund balance, but when we look at some of these requested projects, I don't think all of that adds up to $486,000, which is why I'm asking about that, because we know we can't fund payroll from the general fund balance.
Correct.
Yes, okay. So, did you get your answer to that question from Thursday night?
Well, I mean, it's if you go down the proposed budget, it's just a little bit here and there, and it all adds up. I had a question about this page for wishes. Why do we have to pay for it all at one time? Why can't we take a loan out for that? I mean, I know you can't take it out for the $3,000 monthly expense, but the initial startup, the key cards, the 2 monitors, is the document scanning, is that a service or is that a?
That is a service that was approved, I think, maybe even last budget or budget before that, but then we never did spend it, we didn't do it because of this same problem, we knew that it would have to come out of revenue. We just didn't have enough revenue coming in to cover that, so we kind of backed off on it. It was approved at one time,
But
we backed off of it.
It's not an actual tangible product that we're going to be buying. So, and then the sign, the rest of the sign, couldn't we just take all that, minus the document scanning and the $3,000 monthly, and take a capital outlay for that?
Yeah, anytime we borrow money, just like with the document scanning, they would let us pay on it like for, was it 3 years? I think it was 3 years. But we gotta go through the comptroller's office, we gotta get permission from them, and correct me if you think I'm wrong on that, Andrew, but anytime, that's the same as borrowing money.
It was for It was the door.
Okay. Even if we're making payments to them on 3 years, we have to get permission from them.
Okay.
But anytime, because that's considered a debt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get permission for maybe, or no? You think we'd get permission to do that?
Oh, yeah, I think we could, yeah.
So, that's one way of not taking the hit in 1 year and spreading out over 3 or 5 years. Because you're not gonna buy a key card scanner every year, so.
Well, we don't really know what this is gonna cost, because this has to go out for bid. These are projected
Exactly.
costs.
Everything's gonna have to go out to bid anyway.
And the thing about it is too, this brings up another point. The money that we raise to go toward the sign, it's in the general fund balance. It's part of the general fund balance, you know. So with it, everything in the general fund balance right now is not revenues, it's not money that, you know, we've collected from things. That was to go toward the sign, but it had to go in general fund.
Right.
And then also, we had a loan of $100,000. And was it for, I think it was for the fire department?
No, it's for tractor.
For the tractor, okay. We still got $30,000 of that.
Okay.
That's in general fund balance. So some of this money in general fund balance is not actually Scott's money that we've raised from revenue, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So, I don't know if that helps, I just think, I think it's a good thing to know though. Well, I think it's a good thing to know though, because it's been said, you know, we're raising the fund balance on the people's back and all that stuff. That's not true, because a lot of times there's money in that fund balance that, you want to say it's earmarked, but it's the fund balance and it could be used for anything, you know.
So let me ask you this question, if we, let's just say we put the $268,000 in there, once we start bidding and they bring the bid, it'll come across our desk just like the trash service, and we can either approve or disapprove that based on our opinion at that time. So even though we might put the money in there, when it comes to us with the bids, we could say, no, things aren't looking like we thought they were, we're not gonna do this, and that money would stay in the general fund at some point.
Yeah.
And I'll add, you know, to the point about, is there a way to avoid a one-time hit? And again, this is all policy, right? You're the decision makers for the town on, you know, do you pay cash or do you go get a loan for something? That's a policy decision. When something goes out for bid and it comes back, you could decide to finance it at that time. You know, y'all are getting monthly financial statements. You can kind of see where you are and decide, hey, 3 years is better than paying this all right now. You don't normally put that in the budget unless you're really on the front end. Like, we know we're not going to go, if you were to buy 6 police vehicles, you're probably not going to put that whole number for the fleet in the budget. You know you're going to go finance that. But a lot of other things you don't know, and you can make that decision on the spot. It gives you that flexibility. There's no guarantee that a majority of this body would say to do that, but it is something that can be discussed. Depending on where you are, any of those larger purchases, and to Melody's point, I think what you were trying to say, we typically get loans for larger things. It takes a lot of staff and outside help to get loans done. It would probably cost more in all time. If you got a $2,500 loan, you might spend that much to get the documents together. So you want it to be a larger purchase item so that that's a smaller percentage of the overall cost. But maybe there's a way to package it together. But again, when it comes before you on these bid outs, you can choose to go get a loan at that time, not for expenses, but for a purchase of some capital, whether it's real property or some other asset of the town that has value.
But when we approve this budget, we've got to make sure that we have a way to pay for it through the taxes coming in, so.
For recurring expenses, you have to, for taxes coming in, absolutely.
Well, let me just back up to where a lot of these costs and things came from that you don't usually see every year. And I think it's a good thing. I think that some of the council wanted to see exactly what every department head wanted, what they submitted. That's what we did. We took everything they submitted and put it in a budget package, and now it's up to you all to tell us what departments you want to cut, or if you want to cut any of it. But that's where a lot of these figures are coming from. These are things we need. I mean, we put our wish and wants in there too, you know, administrative department did. So we got it from Eric, we got it from police, we got it from administrative. So this is the first time we've ever done that, but you wanted to see what they said they needed and what they
My
needed.
end, like, I wanna see it from you guys, obviously, but I also wanna see it from my department heads to know, are you asking for the things that your department needs? Because if you're not, then you're doing just as much of a disservice as anybody. If you don't ask me for the things that you know you have to have, then, you know, and I get it's political, you know, it's all political, but it's important to ask.
Well, I told Chris, I said, just ask, that's all I'm going to do. So you just ask your council.
Speaking of Chris's request, the original one was for 3 patrol vehicles, right?
Correct.
That's what Chris wanted. And then, is that correct?
I did request 3 because I was trying to save money.
Okay.
Ideally, you know, it would be better to replace 6, but
Oh, yeah. I like that company car too.
certainly,
I understand what you're saying, but at first you said 3, you could get by with 3. And then we said, well, why not 6? And I don't blame you for saying, well, sure.
well, the problem is that we've sank a bunch of money lately in repairs.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we've had 2 patrol cars that I think we put close to $15,000 in. So, you know, they're 2017s. All but 2 of them have over 100,000 miles. And the hours, of course, with police vehicles, they rate those off of hours that they sit in the aisle.
Right.
So they've got real high idle hours, which is horrible. And when you start sinking that kind of money into repairs, you know, it's probably time to look at replacing them.
That's on top of your maintenance, or is that including maintenance?
The repairs,
Right.
yeah, that would be included in the maintenance. I mean, our normal maintenance, of course, ideally would be, you know, oil changes, tires and brakes.
Right.
But, you know, we've replaced 3 water pumps in the last 6 months. That's, you know, $3,000 a pop for a water pump.
So since you brought it up, that maintenance is also included in this $15,000 you had to outlay. What is your normal maintenance cost on those vehicles?
Normally, I mean, if they're new vehicles, it's oil changes, brakes, and tires. I mean, an oil change, we, you know, try to get those in every 5,000 to 7,500 miles for oil changes. They run about $100 for an oil change. Tires, we buy those on state contract, at, you know, probably a 50% discount off of retail.
So would you say you spend about $5,000 per vehicle in maintenance a year?
Melody, could you answer that question?
I don't, if they're new vehicles, definitely no.
Well, no, maintenance is maintenance, whether they're new or old.
Yeah,
But, I mean, patrol vehicles are driven a lot harder than, you know,
Right.
the normal citizens. I mean, just as, you know, Eric will tell you, you know, the fire trucks, I mean, if he loses something to the fire truck today, he may end up with a, you know, $15,000 bill. And I know nothing about fire trucks other than they're expensive. I mean,
Melody, did you take this as a historical expense, what last year's expenses were, or to, you know, to the car maintenance? So that's what we've been in spent?
Yes.
Okay. On how many, 5 cars? 6 cars, that's what we've been spending? Okay. So that's where that figure came from?
Well, me personally, I'm more apt to
He
approve
said he-
something with 3 cars, not 6, or maybe 4 cars, and not 10.
And he said that he could get, you think maybe around 10,000 for each car?
I mean, from
Maybe.
looking on
I'm
Gov
saying
Deals,
that's maybe.
I mean, they're selling, you know, I mean, 8,500, 10,000, 12,000. Ideally, it would be nice to keep a couple of the better ones at least, especially if we had another officer, but we will not have a vehicle. If one should break down or somebody takes one in for maintenance, we always need a backup. I would really like to keep one to make it for our investigator to use, so he does not have to drive his personal vehicle. He works for the county full-time. The county does not enjoy us using their vehicle for our work. So ideally, that would be the plan, but we'll make adjustments accordingly.
Is he being reimbursed for any kind of mileage or fuel or anything when he?
No, ma'am, he doesn't charge us for anything.
Okay.
Could we do something like that instead of giving him a vehicle? Would that be?
I'm sure he would be okay with that.
Right.
It's just, we got to think about equipment. Ideally, like, if we could set a vehicle up and everything he needs in the vehicle, that would be great, especially since these vehicles are paid for. Like I said, if not, then, we'll continue doing what we're doing.
Like one of the old ones, keep one of the old ones?
Yes.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
So, to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, the idea of the 6 was the 6 for the current officers, 3 that were in disrepair go to auction to help offset costs. The last 3 that are adequate, 1 was for our investigator who showed up on location in his personal vehicle, 1 was for just in case backup, and 1 was for new. Is that correct? 1 was for new officer.
We got 6 new patrol cars.
Is that about how you would use them?
We actually have 5 officers. We have 1 new, the one I'm in now is a 23 that we just got off the ground. So the 6 would replace each patrol car for the 5 officers, plus the 6 would go to the new officer if they'll give us that position.
Okay. So then you have investigator, 1 goes down just in case, and then what's the third one, that other part-time officer?
If you wanted to keep 3, like I said, if we could just keep 2, at least that would get us by. That would give us, 1 to park here for the part-time officer to use when he's working, or, if 1 happens to go down, or, like I said, is in the shop getting an oil change or whatever, so the officer can drive it home and not have to sit and wait on it.
So we would sell all of them.
3 to 4 is what I'm hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do we want to, I know these are good discussions, do we want to start on the expenses here and places that some of you think you would like to amend? Somebody needs to start just looking at a line item, okay?
Someone needs to make a motion.
Somebody, yeah. Per line item, right? Make a motion per line item, wherever you want to start. So,
Does he need to rescind his previous motion?
His is the main motion, to approve the budget with his amendment.
Okay.
Typically, it'd be to approve the budget, and then he would have done a motion for $2, but he packaged it together and approved. So that's the main motion we have. And then, so any other motion to amend this motion that is on the floor right now. So first and a second.
Would you like to start with your Bob? I know that was something you were passionate about, so.
I actually have a list, so,
let's take it one line.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at is I don't want to draw this out any longer than it has to be.
You can put them all together in one motion if you want.
Okay.
Unless you feel like you want to take them one at a
Well,
time.
what if she puts it all in one motion, and there might be 2 that Connie wants to reduce, but she doesn't the other 3, how are you going to separate them?
So, you don't think I'm absurd, but it's how it works. Connie could make a motion to take out one of the items of her motion, and then that would be the pending motion. It gets a little practical. You're not going to get too far away, and that's why, drawing it out. If you did one motion, you know what happens, you move to the next thing. It's up to the motion maker. If you feel good about 5 items, and someone says, I don't like item 4, I want a motion to take that out, that fails, you're back to the main motion on the 5 items, that gets voted on, the result of that, you're back to the main motion as amended.
I go for the one at a time. I just think that's the best, because it's going to get so convoluted.
Okay.
We'll track it however you want.
I will entertain a motion for an amendment
So I make a motion to amend Carl's previous motion that the sign be removed from the budget and go in the following year's budget. Okay,
When you say the sign, you're talking about the street sign?
the
key fob or street
I'm sorry, let me look at it, how it looks here. The digital sign.
The digital sign?
Yeah, removed from this year's budget.
All right, we have a motion.
Wait a minute, where's it at? I can't find it on my, is it general? Supplies, miscellaneous,
I think it got lost again.
which one is it?
Miscellaneous, general.
Gotcha, okay, so we're going to, I have a motion to remove that.
I'm just,
Or modify, does it need to be modified
Well, to remove that, yes, to remove that amount.
yeah.
Okay, I have a motion, to remove the sign, $45,000.
You have a second.
Okay, we have a motion to remove it. So that would modify that. Okay, let's see first if that, okay. And close it. Okay, any discussion about it?
So, we could all, when, are we gonna have a taste of White Bluff next year?
I don't know.
I'd probably, if this passes, I'd probably say don't, because it's hard to make a fundraiser when you ask people to donate and then not spend the things they donated to. But we could.
And we could always seek additional donations, perhaps from Friends of White Bluff or other organizations in the community.
So if we pay, or take it off of this coming budget,
Mm-hmm.
and the monies that we raised are already in the
It's in
fund.
general fund.
And if your donor comes through, then we won't have to do anything next year.
Okay, but now are you gonna take the whole 45,000?
I've calculated 33,000.
Yeah, because that would be taken some out of general fund. I mean, it's.
That donated amount's restricted
Okay.
for these purposes, so, yeah,
So it would actually take 33,000 out of
whatever that.
whatever we're taking, okay. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed? No.
Connie?
I'm gonna vote no, just because I will know what we went through when we collected money for so many years for the bathroom out there, and people were getting restless, and we had to get it done. They do get that way when they pay for something and they want to see it.
I will say with my yes vote, because I want to see us get as much of this as we can, you know, I feel like, and I'll take this on, the businesses, you know, if our businesses would donate $1,000 a piece, which we would definitely do, if I could get everybody to do that, that would get us closer. And then if the private donor comes through, which I think he will if he can, and he's got things on the horizon, so I feel like it's gonna happen.
I do too, but it's like I said, I don't have a contract with him,
No.
so, and I mean, if something happens to him physically between now and then.
True, yeah.
No, I have every confidence he will, and what I was hoping was that even if we do go ahead and purchase it, and he would reimburse up to $25,000.
True.
So, so do you want to vote again? What?
We had a vote, we
We
had
had a
a
vote.
reconsideration. I didn't hear, everybody voted kind of oddly, sorry, was that a 3-2?
3-2.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're taking that out?
Yes.
Okay. So that reduces the expenses by 33 already. Somebody's better than math to come up with this. I'm not good at that. Okay, does somebody else have something they want to?
Definitely go for it.
Go, Stephanie.
I make a motion that we remove the Verkada 22-door project for key card entry from this year's budget.
How much is that?
$87,875 is the estimate.
And that's under Office General Administrative, right, Melody?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna take out how much? I mean, the promotion, take out how much?
$87,875.
Okay. Do I hear a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Second, okay. All let's have a roll call vote, I think that's easier.
Okay. Glover?
Yes, to remove it.
Yes, remove it, okay. Hill?
Yes.
I'm writing it on. Merle?
Yes.
Kincaid?
Yes.
And Reed?
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous, that goes out. All right, what's your next one, Stephanie? You're batting 100 so far, you're okay.
Well, this may change. So I am in favor of the $2 an hour increase and adding an additional officer, but I'm going to request that the police cars be removed from this year's budget.
All of them?
Yes.
Okay.
And you made that as a motion, right?
Yes, that's my motion.
Do I hear a second? Okay, motion failed. Sorry, that's
Circle that time.
Okay, what's your next?
Okay, I make a motion that we move the street lighting to the State Street Aid Fund.
I second that.
Move it back to the general fund?
What you said?
Street aid.
Street Aid.
Okay, okay.
Glover seconded.
All right, yeah, do I have a second to move that back to State Street Aid Fund?
Glover.
He's already.
Oh, Club, oh, you did? Okay.
I'll be right
All right,
What's your last name?
any discussion about that? I think we've already discussed it, but, okay, only thing I will say about that is that if we do that, that leaves us nothing to pay anything with next year. It pretty much will leave us nothing. Maybe just, well, really, just basically nothing, but we couldn't even do a driveway probably, but that, okay, so now, we'll take a roll call vote on that, and the motion was to move the street lighting out of the general fund and put it back in State Street Aid Fund. Take a roll call.
Glover?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Merle?
Yes.
Kincaid?
No.
Reed?
No.
Okay? So that's, everybody remember, this is first reading. We have a public hearing and a second reading, so, you know, we,
Y'all can get on Facebook, right? Second somebody says pothole.
Hey, man, you know,
Well, the potholes are actually repaired out.
I know, I'm talking about, you know.
okay, all right. What's your next thing?
I think this is my last, to remove the scanning from this year's fiscal budget.
I'm sorry, to do what?
Remove the scanning, the document scanning, the 42,000.
No. Why are we having that done? Is it something somebody suggested we do?
And we, like I said, we approved doing that 2 years ago.
Right.
But we never, it got approved, got the budget, but we never went through with it because at that time, it didn't look like we were gonna have, when we got into it, enough revenues to maybe do that because of taxes, just lower revenue, okay?
Well, can't that still be done even though,
I'm
because it
sorry?
was approved 2 years ago?
It was approved 2 years ago, but it was in that year's budget. So at the end of the budget, we would start over again, we didn't have the money. We have the money in general fund, but I didn't want to take it out of general fund. I mean, I backed off of it, that's my idea. I want to scan every document, as far back as we can, and the first ones that we will scan, that will be out in iCloud, that if anything happens to this building, or anything just happens we've got it. We lost a lot of history when we moved from where there used to be the fire hall, the city hall. They were trying to store just paper documents. They didn't have anywhere to store them. They put them what, now in the attic, some of them
It was
did.
up in the attic
And the
lights.
rats and the mice,
Yeah.
so we've lost so much of our history. So we were just talking about, in today's world, you need to put everything you've got in iCloud. So,
So we start doing that yet?
well, no, we have,
Okay, I didn't know.
no,
We
we
started
haven't.
5 years
That's why I'm
ago.
putting it in the budget. No, it was in the budget. I've asked for it for 2 or 3 years. I would like to sit back in the budget this year.
So some things like our ordinances, some of those documents, they're already scanned and digital, but you're talking about more historical documents.
Well, we're talking about historical, but I don't know that our
No, the ordinance, none of that
not
stuff
like,
is.
no. Everything would go, and there would be, well, the people we talked to about this, I'm just gonna say RG, I'm not gonna say the ones doing it, but they maintain a server where everything goes into this server. It's never lost. I mean, no matter if somebody hacked, excuse me, or whatever, it's never lost. So,
Why couldn't we just have this right here with a big RAID configuration and store them ourselves?
I don't know.
I
Your
don't-
technology decayed. Just now.
Maybe we could get, like
we have a server here.
we don't have
Server
a
just for
scanner.
the,
No, we don't have the scanner, but our goal is to maybe have these on an off-site server, so that if something happens here, even if our server, something happens. There are companies that do that kind of thing.
Oh, sure there are.
Yeah.
But I don't think, Mayor, if I just for clarity, I don't think it's the server or the server cost we're talking about, it's the labor of scanning that is that item that I think is on the floor right now. So it's the 42,000 to go back historically and scan all government documents. That's what's been proposed in the budget, and what is on the floor right now to remove that.
Right.
Not the server, but, I mean, RAID systems are great, you know.
Right. What if we hired an intern to come in and?
We don't have a scanner.
We don't
We don't have the equipment.
Oh,
What's the equipment cost, does anybody know?
Modern scanners aren't terribly cheap, but, I mean, that can be explored if y'all
I guess
want.
compared to the $4,000 that we said, like, I wonder what it costs to get all.
What all did the scanner, sorry, I'm starting this again. You two worked with R.J. Young. Explain what they were gonna come in and do. Can you, to scan?
I believe it was $30 a box. We had all of them, $60 a box. They were gonna take them off-site, take them out of their binding, scan the document, put them back together, bring them back to us. It's stored in the cloud. We have access to it.
Now, they're gonna categorize it too,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was wondering, if they're gonna categorize
Because,
it.
I mean, that's a big part of the work on scanning.
Yeah.
is
And
categorizing.
then you would be able to access that and go into different categories and pull the document that you needed. So,
From what I understand, you could maybe put a word up there and search, and it would bring up everything that had that word in it.
absolutely.
And the main, well, personally myself, the main thing is the minutes, the ordinances, the resolutions, very important papers such as that.
It would include planning, it would include everything.
Any kind of minutes
Yeah.
of the.
So this would be stored, nothing more, just this, as far as me.
All the minutes, all the minutes of the town.
Right now,
I'll second your motion.
what was the motion? What do you want to do?
Remove scanning, the scanning services from this fiscal year, the 42,000.
So what happens to this page of minutes at the present time?
Goes into a book.
Yeah, we've got a book back there, it's
Basically,
paper.
everything we have is
Everything was
Well, I mean, Jeff has an electronic copy because he sends it out to all of us digitally, but it's not being stored.
I don't keep it.
Okay.
It's not signed.
It's not, yeah, well, it goes into the book that people sign, I think, and they.
So, if I wanted to object to something in the minutes from 2008, and you can't find those minutes, what happens then?
Well, first, I don't think you can object to something.
Well, not as a
Well, yeah, so.
Say somebody brings a FOIA or something.
Yeah, so, first off, just for clarity, minutes aren't the two-page document. It is the way by which you act. They are very important legal documents, so keep that in mind. But it'd be everything else you do, resolutions, ordinances, planning commission documents. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it would actually cut down on public records request costs typically, because most of the cost is time digging it out versus control F-ing.
Now, if we lost, let's just say that we lost last year's documents.
They're gone.
So
And if we have a legal action and we can't put our hands on it,
that's what
we're
I'm
not,
looking at.
we're
That's
not,
something
you know,
that
we're not.
should be a concern.
I mean, if you bring it to me, it could be a concern, yeah. I don't like losing legal documents, especially when they have the force of law.
Well, I'm gonna give you an example. I'm not gonna name any names or what city, but there was an issue with a sewer board, and they lost minutes. They don't have minutes, and so what was said in the meeting is gone. Now, whether that was on purpose or actually, I don't know.
Sure.
But it's definitely a problem because what's in that meeting is now gone.
Well, and look, it's, if I may, Mayor, just step back a second. When you look at larger jurisdictions, they get to the point where they are doing some of this stuff in-house. And, I think to the Mayor's point, this was to bring us to modern times. It wasn't going to be $42,000 every year. Right. I hope not.
No,
It gets you to modern times, and then hopefully there could be a process by which monthly or quarterly stuff is uploaded to the server, $60 box, however that process would work. Because, we've talked about, just so y'all know, what's on the website sometimes can be outdated by several months. And it takes time for us, just the municipal law, if we all change something in the municipal code, it could take up to a year to get updated in our official municipal code. It's just a process. And a lot of things have to be outsourced. And this is one of those, if you're going to, I wouldn't mind starting, obviously, from a legal standpoint, but going back in time is a good thing. It's good because, I can't remember off the top of my head the exact details. We had a piece of property that we had to figure out who owned it from 70 years ago. We were able to find documents between White Bluff and the county, and it turns out it was the old White Bluff Industrial Development Board. So, some things can come into play that affect us now. It's rare, but, that's, the prior boards have acted by evidence in their documents, and so there is an importance to it. I don't want y'all to give up on it. If y'all choose to punt to it next year, I hope y'all do it next year, but it is something that is a concern, but not, we haven't had an issue yet, doesn't mean we won't have one, so.
We are running out of room. That is one thing that brought this up. We are already in this new building, and I call it still a new building. We're running out of room. We're running out of, we are an office operating, or an entity operating on just paper and notebooks. In my opinion, that's not good. Not in today's world.
I agree.
Yeah.
My suggestion is to start an in-house project with it.
We don't have to scan.
We don't,
Well, scanners aren't $42,000.
But who do you have that can, we have 3 people, and who do you get to actually go back and scan all those documents?
I think you're suggesting getting an intern to do some of the more recent documents and starting there.
Well, no,
A lot of the work is not just scanning, it's actually categorizing it
yeah,
in software to
let's
be able
just have
to
to be
treat.
somebody knows what they're doing. Let's just gather the stuff for us, where it's, like I said a minute ago, if you put a word in there, the way it should be categorized, you can pull up every document, no matter what, that's got
Right.
that word in it.
It's a search.
An intern, a high school student, college student, They're not gonna know, I mean, that's just not part of it.
Not to throw my wife under the bus, but she takes a lot of pictures, and I scan them in and keep them on an external hard drive. If she was to ask me to go find a picture, a certain picture she knew we took, oh my goodness, I couldn't do it because it's not categorized, labeled, and retrievable very easily. So there is an element to that, that's all I'm saying.
7 gigs.
Okay, so here we go. Where are we at on this?
We have first and a second to remove the 42,000 of documents.
Got a
pending.
first and a second. Who was the second? Glover, you're the first, right? Yes. Merle Glover. We're gonna do, roll call, vote, please.
Okay, Glover,
Yes.
Hill,
No.
Merle,
Yes.
Kincaid,
No.
Reed.
No.
So what do we do now? We got all these motions, amendments, so we
No,
just.
they're all passed, they're all
They're all
part of the main
passed?
motion now. And
Okay.
any more motions to amend can come forward from any member of the council. I think you've got another one there.
What you got, Scott?
I would like to make a motion to amend the, requested budget for the police department, instead of 6 cars to 4 cars.
You voted to remove all cars. This is a
Okay.
different motion.
Okay. Okay, so that one didn't pass. Okay. Got a motion then from Scott, do I have a second?
I'll second.
From 6 to 4. Okay, we got a motion, a second, and we'll take a roll call.
Glover,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Kincaid,
Yeah.
and Reed.
No.
Okay. We have another motion.
I have a question about this, the 2 monitors in here for 13,000. If that just somebody called up Denton and asked them, and they hadn't gone out for bid yet or anything like that. So it's possible that it could come in lower than that. So, and we're gonna do things, if we prove it, it'll be just like everything else we send out for bids. It'll be in the newspaper and our Facebook page, website, and that's it.
If somebody that you personally know, that's fine. If you
Well,
want to
believe
ask
me,
them
if I have somebody I know that would be interested in doing that,
Yeah.
just like when we learned to outfit this with a video recorder and all that, I contacted several people.
Mhm. Yeah, yes.
Just for clarity, so that when it comes up in 8 months, anything under $25,000 doesn't usually go out to the bid. Asking for a few companies to maybe submit, but it's up, if it's in the budget, it's up to town staff to go deal with it. If it's above 25,000, it comes back to this body, so. Just FYI, I don't want you to see 2 new monitors and say we didn't have a say in that. It's, if it's in the budget for that, they can go, have authority to go, do that, and there's a process we go through, but just FYI, you're not gonna see it.
I will say that recently, when we looked at having an audio-visual system installed, that we did request bids on that, and
You can, as I say, typically, it's gonna be discretionary, it's not a requirement. I just wanted to make that clear, but if y'all want to, you can make a motion, down the road to go ahead and do that, but typically they're gonna come in. Now, if anything goes over budget, it's gonna come back to you and say, hey, this was 3,000 more than we budgeted, you've gotta approve that aspect. If it comes under budget, it typically doesn't come to you unless it's just one of those items that needs to.
So how does this get in there? Somebody requested
Yes. Planning.
planning, okay. And what about court? Is it gonna be used in the court?
It could be, yeah.
Well, I know, we can use it
Yeah.
for everything, but,
Yeah.
Anything that can be monitored.
Here, we would use it here.
Yeah.
all right.
talked about for
Right.
years now. Because that was donated and never worked or something, and so, yeah.
I mean, I know.
But I mean, it's just for the, you're right, guys, it's for the youth of everybody. Anybody that's in this room and needs you to bring them, court, planning, anything.
Well, I was just wondering who requested it to be on the budget.
Well, I guess
The most.
it's just, we did.
It initiated in planning, but I mean, everybody did that.
Right. So, we need two, I guess, one for this wall, one for that wall.
Okay, any other motions? For first reading.
I'm still thinking about the new
Okay,
monitors.
okay.
I'm thinking as small as this room is, one would be sufficient. So I'd like to make a motion to reduce the monitors requested from 2 to 1.
We need it to be a monetary amount.
Okay,
Give us the amount you think we should pay.
Yeah, I think
Give
that would
us
work better
permission.
for this
sure,
next item.
$7,000.
Is that removing or what you want to leave in?
Oh,
Hold on.
that's what I want to put in.
We had 2 weeks, yeah, in prices.
So the two monitors,
Right.
Samsung TV 85-inch monitors, each monitor is $3,197.42. So I would suggest if you want to remove a monitor that you don't go 7.
What was the other expense for that installation?
Didn't they say they
The
could do
mount,
some
so,
wiring or something?
well, of course, the mounts, the surge protection.
The big part was the warranty, really.
Pardon?
The warranty was a lot.
Warranty is 500, 5-year warranty. I mean, we don't have that. Per unit. And then it's all the cabling, wiring, and all of that to support it.
So are you suggesting that we ask for more or less than 7,000?
I'm suggesting that if you want to take a monitor out, each monitor is $3,197.42. Now, this was done back in February, so I'm sure the prices have changed. So maybe remove 3,000.
So 10,000 still seems a lot to me, but you said, is that breakdown in our paperwork today?
It was, between the tax,
Oh, thank you so much.
While he's reading that, you did tell me that, I think I heard you right there, you said that we had one more year on the Whitecliff Road payment. So after
Paid
that,
off in 2025 after that, so we could even next year in the, well, we'd have that payment in 2020. And the 25 in the budget going in the 25, 26.
Yeah, it's in the fall of 2025.
so once we lost that payment, we continue maybe a large section of paving different roads we're gonna have outlay.
Yes.
That's what I think.
But like I said, to do that, you almost have to have a tax outlay. Because I mean, any large, it's gonna be 500,000, because I know the White Oak Road was 450, yeah, that's been 5, 6, 7 years ago.
If we paid that same amount on side streets, we could pay a lot
Oh,
for that.
we could, yeah.
So there's
Well,
my
I
answer.
mean, there's,
That's might answer to the potholes, we're gonna wait till we get Wycliffe Road paid for. and
Hey,
then
as long as you don't want to give an answer.
Hey, man.
Because when, as soon as somebody gets on their fussing, I'm gonna be like, hey, call this number
Yeah,
right here.
But I will tell you,
From reviewing
you're gonna go almost a whole year and a half without being able, I mean, some of these roads, it's just little side roads that are really, really bad. We're just not gonna be able to touch them.
So reviewing this, a lot of the stuff that would be cut down. There's a 1x2 splitter, we're gonna need, we'll say 8,000. So change one monitor and total to expenditure would be $8,000 instead of $13,000 in 26.
So you're not reducing it by 8, you're going to 8.
Correct.
So you'd be reducing it by $5,000.
So we reduced it to 8,755.
That's my motion.
We're leaving 8,000 in.
And that is under the planning and zoning category, or is it under general?
It's under general and miscellaneous, right here. IT, didn't scan.
I mean, Denton County has 2 giant monitors, and that room is huge. I think one is sufficient here. So we can allot 8,000 for it, and then we send it out for bid and see what happens.
No problem. That's your motion.
That is my motion.
Okay. So we're going to reduce that line item by 5,000.
And don't say so.
Okay. All right. I need a second. Oh, second. Roll call vote.
Lovely,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Kincaid,
No.
Reed.
I don't know. Only because I don't think it's in the grand scheme of things, it's that drop in the bucket.
Okay, any other motions for amendments or?
We will have a chance upon second reading too, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's all I have
Yes.
for this reading.
And I would like to encourage you, all of you. I don't know, Brian, if you did not, I don't know, Colonel, if you did. Carl came to the city hall, and we all, about the 2 accounting people, Carl and I sat down and talked a lot about budgets. That would really, it would help if some of y'all could contact before these meetings and talk to us about budget. How,
But the discussion tonight is among the council members, it's not with the ones who are preparing the budget, because we can make these deductions ourselves.
It is, but there are a lot of times, Stephanie, there are things happening that you don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, they can tell you why they put it, why it's in there, why it's not. If you just come and kind of give us a heads up, you know, because, I mean, I would ask that you do that instead of waiting till the meeting, because sometimes you ask questions that we don't really have the answer, and we have to do research. If you could come, or if you have some outstanding questions, text, anything.
Well, it's like Carl came and met with Misty about the police officers and increasing it by $2 an hour, but that still has to be discussed amongst us as a body.
No doubt, he just wanted to know how much more would that affect the budget
Right.
before he even proposed that.
I had a lot of questions. She didn't get lunch till like 3 hours later.
Yeah.
So she was begging for some chicken fingers by the time we were done.
All I can say, if he hadn't come and had that discussion then, this would be another 2 hours here. I would like to avoid some of that, if we can. And then when you bring it, because sometimes, I know the same with me. I'm guilty of this too. I think we can just, well, throw things in there, you know, but then when I talk to them, they explain to me how that's going to affect the budget, what we could do it this way, we could make payments on it, and then when you come in, you're kind of ready to make maybe a motion that could be more readily accepted by everybody. helps us out. Okay, so what are we doing? Are we through with this? What are we doing?
Unless another member of the council has another motion, we have a main motion with 6 amendments. We can go through them again if you want to know what those are, but I think you probably recognize them at this point. But it's on the floor for either a voice vote or a roll call.
Do y'all want to hear again what I'm six, or do you feel comfortable with them? Y'all feel comfortable with them? Okay.
I feel comfortable with them, but just for some rough math, basically, and I don't know how much deducting those 2 cars are gonna be, that's the one thing I don't know. But just looking at what we've successfully done is we've reduced your expenditure on the budget by $128,976, not including those 2 cars.
It's $217,542.
Is that with the cars? No, because the cars were
Is that
62
your
by
number?
themselves.
But that's for 6 cars, so divide that number by 6 and theoretically.
Oh, okay, oh, hang on, where are you getting that, because I know, I don't know your pencil is. I'm just, listen, I ain't gonna fight too much on the math sheet, on the school teacher with math.
Sorry, Mayor, just to clarify, there's 5 amendments. There were 7 motions, 5 passed, so just
Okay.
So I'm getting 155,976. Is about what we just reduced the yearly expenditures.
And wait, are these recurring expenses, or is this, it would be for one time?
Well, some of it would be recurring because you're talking payment on the new cars, that's a payment.
Yeah, that is a payment.
But it is reducing the year-to-date amount.
it's a capital purchase, so it's going to be in that, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we just took 6,200 divided by 6 to get our overall, how much each car's note costs.
Approximately. And you'll see the actual numbers, but yeah, that's the estimate.
Yeah, so I deducted 2 of those.
Yep.
And then I went back and added all the things that y'all wanted to deduct, including like moving street lighting. And I'm getting that we reduced your yearly expense by $155,976. And please correct me if you're getting under that.
I'm sorry, what?
I got that we reduced it by $155,976.
It's more than
It may be.
Well, obviously, they're going to have to update.
Yeah, they're gonna have to update. I'm just wondering what that does, because that is gonna show something, it's gonna something, you know.
The street lighting moving from the general fund to the State Street aid fund was $70,000 alone. So when you add the changes up that we've made,
Did you add the 71,024 from the police officers raise though? That's gonna change, it's gonna offset that big number.
I'm just looking at numbers that are being deducted from the expenses.
Okay. Because I was also adding back in with the
Okay.
that's where I think that's where I did.
That's the difference then, yes.
Okay.
It's gonna be a whole new budget next year. I have no clue what we're buying. I just know that we gotta pay our bills and hope we can buy a few plus things.
I've never had a budget like this before.
So we still need to
That's
vote on
not
the
finished.
budget.
But I will say this, I like the way that we did it this year. We gave you a, what we call a.
Mayor, we still have.
Oh, okay,
the vote.
I gotta quit talking.
No,
You talking?
I'm just going to say we still have the vote on the main motion.
Okay. No, I'm just making the motion, making the comments that I like the way, and I hope y'all appreciated it too. You wanted to see what every department wanted, that is why you have this all-inclusive, very expensive, very high. And so y'all saw what they wanted, it's up to you all to count, to cut it. So, I think that worked out very well. Okay. We've got a motion, we've got a second on it, still roll call vote.
I'm sorry, she's showing me something. I'm sorry about that. Glover,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Kincaid,
Yes.
Reed.
Yes. Okay, so we'll see this new budget next month,
Next month.
for the second reading.
So technically, when will we change to be available for review?
When will we change, make all the amendments and change?
Are you expecting a couple of weeks?
Okay.
You want me to email it to you?
Or email it or something.
Okay.
We're halfway through the agenda.
Okay, let's move on down. Speedily moving down. Codes and permits. consider on first reading, oh, y'all leaving us? Consider on first reading,
We're still on the list of that.
the zoning request for map 096J, Group A, parcel 012.00. It's 1022 Taylortown Road, from C1, Central Business District, to R2, a medium density residential. The applicant has proposed the following self-imposed condition. If the parcel is rezoned to request, it will be developed only as a single-family home. This was, of course, it has to come to council when it's rezoning. The planning committee recommended that we not pass this. They didn't pass it, they just sent it on to council. So,
Wait a minute, they didn't vote on it?
they voted not, they voted recommended, they didn't, they voted not recommend to do it, to pass it on to council.
All right.
It has to come to council, no matter how they vote.
And Mayor, I do want to disclose, just so everybody's on board, me and Mr. Harmon actually partnered together on quite a few real estate projects. This particular project, I did not enter with him, and so I won't have any monetary gain on this project. It's completely his. I'm not aligned with the project in any way. So, but we do actually do business together on real estate transactions from time to time.
I eat at Patty's too.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve on the first reading or zoning request?
I make that motion.
I second. Scott Glover.
And also,
Oh, I know now, Beard.
is this where I need to ask about reevaluating that area, or do I need to?
Wait till after the vote, but yeah, I mean, you could bring it up as a discussion point, but I wouldn't make a motion.
Okay.
I'm gonna say before we vote that we've been advised by our council and by our planner to not do this. So, just food for thought.
You've been advised by, yes, our planning and our counselor and the planning committee. So, there's no more discussion, we'll take a roll call vote.
I do have one quick question, I just want to clarify this. So the property that borders this lot, I guess to the south, is all of that town of White Bluff property to the south of it?
I think
Yes.
these two are.
Okay, and then this lot actually goes around because that's part of the streets department.
I'm not sure what you're telling
Is
me.
this the big tract behind all this, is that city property as well?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
It wraps around,
It wraps around the
the
backside.
street department wraps around behind the
Okay.
old town.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Just statement wise, I know it's after the topic, but yeah, I do think we need to really take a hard look at this area specifically, as well as maybe the whole town in general in certain areas, and we're wanting future things to go and what we think an area should be. I think we need to systematically look at that. And I know me and the council had a long conversation about that, but I think that this is really just it's the tip of the iceberg, it's the evidence that we need to take a harder look at what do we want our town to look like in different areas. So I'll just have it.
It's a good time to bring it up until we get it.
Right.
It's just kind of brought it to our
Yeah,
attention.
to me, this is the first firecracker to go off saying we need to do this.
And this is the first reading.
Yes.
So we've got a motion to approve, and Scott, you second, right? Okay, let's have a roll call vote.
Glover,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Merle,
No.
Kincaid,
Yes.
Reed.
No.
Okay, first reading,
So now that we're there, I would like to ask the city to look at this area, because what I envision, and I respectfully disagree with planning, because I invest in a lot of commercial real estate, and I had the opportunity to buy this same tract, but it's just not lucrative for a commercial business, and I don't see it being lucrative for a commercial business because you limit your pool of renters, because you can't unload a truck there, you can't, it's just limited. And so,
Contact the city about perhaps purchasing some of the property behind it?
Well, I actually think that what I would envision, of course, this is gonna be up to city and council, but, you know, we already own a large block of property there for city, so I would envision that as more of an administrative area for the city, not necessarily a commercial area. I think that'd be really good for future buildings, things of that nature, that we need as we grow. Not so much because I thought about, you know, the buildings, that the businesses have been there, that's one of the things I use to identify whether I want to buy it or not. The rent is extremely low, and the people that actually want to be there are limited, because if you can afford commercial, you won't on the main drag. So you get left with the people that can't afford the higher commercial rates, and even at $400 a month, it's a struggle. I mean, I'm not going to say you can't make it, but you're definitely not going to make it like you are on Highway 70. So I would like to do away with the commercial vision for that area and go with more of a city administrative area in this large section that we already own, which would be all of that.
So if I may, and we've talked about it, and Councilman Kincaid, we talked about this, and this gets into that planning world. I think since this particular thing's not on the agenda, I would ask that you make a motion to put it on the work session.
Okay.
Because I think what we had talked about is flesh it out there at this level, and you need to send it to the PC, because that's where all of this has to start.
Okay.
And then it would probably take several months to kind of get through the process, and then it will come back to this body at some point.
So I need to do that now?
I mean, again, since this particular item's not on the agenda under the new state law, I'm glad you brought it up. I think it is important, but I would just ask if you make a motion to put it on the work session on the next agenda so that y'all could actually have a formal motion to do something with it.
Okay, I'd like to make that motion. We can discuss for the next step. Thank you.
Well, it's just a matter of comment in direct connection with this specific property, try to stay in alignment with the law. The self-imposed condition is the only, for me, was the catalyst here, because as a general policy, looking at zoning, it's ugly. It's horribly ugly, and I understand where the planner and the council was coming from on that, but the reason I think it is ugly and it's going to get is because we need to do what the councilman is going to suggest.
Is that a second to his motion to put it on?
Yes, that is a second. That's exactly what you were hearing from me.
Ron?
Did you have to put somebody one?
Because I'm allowed to.
I would like to put the discussion of reevaluating that area
From the zoning perspective.
from a zoning standpoint on our next discussion meeting.
I think, and I'm not good at reading the zoning maps, but isn't the whole right side of Town Road down to that house where Janelle had it commercial because she had a business? Was it all of that? Is it all right now zone commercial? Yeah. What about across the street? Facing it. I know that we've got two houses.
Well, I was thinking,
Your grandfather.
you know, one thing we had talked about, Mayor, you and I had talked about this, but if you're going to do this type of evaluation, and we'll get into the work session, you want it to be a little bit larger. So I think y'all need to figure out what kind of area you're thinking about, but I think it's not just one side of the street. I think you're looking at
Right, but that one side is. I wanted to know what the side, across the street, what is that?
You and I talked about, I want to take it a step farther. I want to take it, and of course we have to debate, and I would love more education from our council on it as far as the merits of overlays versus sections and those types of things. But I think as a whole, we need to consider one of those options pending his education on it. Because, again, I think that this is just the tip of the iceberg on something we need to do as a town.
And the town plan will be at the work session, so you'll have that angle as well, so that'll be good.
I know, we have taken, as far as I know right now, this whole entire block from Highway 70 over to Church Street has now been all rezoned commercial.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that whole entire block.
On the other side of the street.
No, just on this side. Yeah, on that side. Yeah,
You're not
so
close.
from 70 to, this side of Church Street, yeah.
All right, now you have the first and the second.
All right, we have first and second, can we do a roll call vote? We already voted on it?
We've already voted.
Well, I think this is for the.
No, we're talking about for his.
This was just to spin this for the work session.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, okay. I've been texting with her.
Well, it's not on the agenda, so it's kind of, because I looked down, I thought, what are we talking about?
It's in between.
Yeah, in between.
Glover,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Kincaid,
Yes.
and Reed.
Yes.
Jeff, bless your heart, I think you did all this.
There's some minutes.
There's gonna be some minutes. Okay, so we're, in other words, what you're saying is going back to planning, and it's going to be.
Work sessions, so y'all can kind of get some, parameters
Direction,
for.
okay, there you go, thank you, all right. Okay, okay, now we're gonna talk about the Woodland Protection Act, and that is in here.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve that on first reading.
I'll second.
Got a motion to approve, got a second?
So the proposal that we have here, because I know I talked to Amanda and you talked to Amanda as well. So this is the final, because this kind of looks like it's still in a revision stage.
Well, I gave you the red line version just because I wanted you to be able to clearly see what we changed based on discussions from Thursday night and then other discussions.
Okay.
So it won't look like this, but I just wanted you to clearly see what we were doing.
How would this impact the commercial?
So I talked to Jeff and Amanda about that, and so basically, it will impact commercial. However, they've already got their landscaping plan that we passed, and so that will take up a lot of the tree coverage by our required landscape plans. But also, if it was that was my concern, if somebody came in with a co-op, and you bought a 6-acre tract and you wanted to turn the whole thing into a co-op, what would this do to you? And she said they can actually appeal to the, help me with that. Thank you. And get that approval based on their need for that. So we're not really trying just to keep, you can cut any trees on a piece of property. We would more so to see you don't just clear cut for 3 houses. I mean, if you have to clear cut it for a parking lot and a co-op type building, then I think the approval's there. So that's.
So it's not gonna hit it, like you said?
No, I don't think so. And I told her and Jeff, I said, this, for my constituents, this is probably a difficult sale. And so, but I reviewed this extensively compared to a plan that I saw with the county not so long ago, and this is much, much more reasonable. I'm not going to say you're not going to lose footprint on a build. If you do a PUD, you're absolutely going to lose footprint. But I think in the big picture, it's a positive, not a negative.
I think it helps protect our town.
All right.
And,
One thing I wanted to add, this came up Thursday, and just for clarification, we looked at it and we were trying to figure out what is the limit of its applicability. It is in connection with permits. If you own 10 acres and want to clear cut it, this can't stop you.
Right.
The zoning ordinance change. If y'all want to explore banning that, and you got some major constitutional issues if you do, well, we can try to tackle it. It needs to be the municipal code. It needs to be like speeding. Like it would be a misdemeanor crime to do it. This is for zoning, so we look at it from you're asking for a permit, let's look at your property perspective. And right now, if you clear cut it, if you apply for a permit within 2 years, you're going to have to put a lot of it back. If it's outside of 2 years, you won't. So think about that, but that's where it applies. When you come in to get a permit, it doesn't just stop clear cutting. And I want y'all to be aware of the limitations of the zoning.
Well, and that's another reason I'm going to support this thing, because I don't like stepping on property owners' rights. I don't like it when it happens to me. I don't want to do it to other people. However, if you're going to clear cut it for a development, then I feel this is a step in the right direction. I would like to see. Yes, you're going to make a little bit less money on development, but in the big picture, I think it's going to be a better settlement.
I love this document, honestly, personally, and it saddens me there's less interest in it. On a personal, because I think it's a great document.
Okay, we got a motion by Connie to approve and a second by Kincaid. Do we need to do a roll call on this? Is everybody, do you have any? Okay, do a roll call. Glover?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
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 I'm writing at the same time, so, Kincaid.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Okay, and this first reading. So we'll have a public hearing and second reading next meeting. Going on down, consider on first reading zoning ordinance revision regarding access management minimum standards.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Okay, wait a minute. 10K, Hill,
And this is the zoning ordinance, so it's first reading, you'll see it next month.
okay, all right.
Strategy from Connie.
It's just, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Everybody said aye, so it's just, we're going with that. First reading, unanimous. Building permit report,
Mayor, from May 31st, there was a total of 6 building permits issued, all on Wawa Beans Loop.
oh, what?
Wawa the road.
Name of your new street.
Oh.
We talk about this every time. Scott does.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions there? Everybody's fine with that? We're gonna get 6 houses or something. Okay, police department report? Chris? You got it on your hand? Oh, okay, that's,
Couldn't
okay.
see if it was on my hand. For May, 310 calls for service of that, 82 traffic stops, 48 citations, 40 warnings, 18 arrests, 1 DUI, and 8 narcotic charges for the month.
Not busy.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we still have, of course, we get people comments all the time. I get emails, so does he, from some of our intakes, come and park in my driveway. And I have to explain to them that we have 1 cop on each shift, and, you know, like we've got, oh my gosh, so many other ones. Okay, but anyway, so that's pretty much satisfied me for a while, for 2-3 months. Okay, fire department report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had 70 calls last month, or this month, last month.
70 calls?
70.
Uh-huh.
56 were inside the city, 10 were outside the city. 47 of the ones inside the city were medical. 2 investigations, and, 7 investigations and 2 motor vehicle accidents. Outside the city, we had 8 medical calls, 1 false alarm, and 1 investigation. And we had mutual aid, we had 4. One was medical, 1 was investigation, and there were 2 investigations and 1 motor vehicle crash.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, appreciate it. Court report?
Mayor, court clerk reports that for May, we had 49 total cases, 8 criminal and 41 traffic.
Okay. 41 traffic being mostly speeding, would you say?
Yeah, we'll say that.
Okay. Down the streets and sidewalks. Consider the offer of irrevocable dedication accepted in Cherokee Drive Extension and Cherokee Court, which is in the Dillard Hills Estate, as town street, including a maintenance bond of $21,000. So I hear a motion to approve and accept.
I make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Parks and Recreation, I don't have anything right now on that. We do have any parts for it. She's gone, and just introduce her, we've got parts for it. But anyway, we have someone that was brave enough to step forward and want to do things. I mean, good, okay. Consider resolution, old business. Consider resolution acknowledging receipt and endorsing the 2044 White Bluff Comprehensive Plan.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I abstain.
You abstain, okay. Definitely abstain. Okay, any new business? Do I have a motion?
No, sorry. Under old business, where are we at in terms of what we were researching for sprinklers for shared walls construction?
You're gonna see it, probably after the July meeting. We're trying to figure out exactly how we want to position it, and bring it to you. It may have to go through PC first, but you're gonna see it at some point,
Okay.
pretty soon.
And I have one, actually I have 2 for new business. I would like to request that this be placed on the work session agenda for next month. I'm requesting that we permanently close Maple Street as it is effectively not in use, and that we add that name back to the list of available street names for future streets. Maple Street runs into Nashville Wire. At one time, I think that was.
I think that's already
It's
closed,
closed.
but I'll double check.
Okay, well, can we remove the signage then?
Okay, I didn't know that.
It's still up.
Anybody got a teenager?
I will double check it, I'll make sure, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it's closed. Okay, sorry, it's a long time, I don't know.
Yeah, if it's not, we'll bring it to y'all.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Okay. And then my other thing is, this was not something that I was going to request being removed from the budget, but can we look in the future having our mowing put out to bid as well? Because it is approaching the threshold. of what needs
Are
to
you
be
talking about
collected.
the
town
city mowing
property,
for the
yeah,
town,
yeah.
all the town properties?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
We probably will have to, because I'm not sure, I think he may go up next year anyway, so.
Probably over the amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
What made you want to remove Maple Street?
So I walk my dog past it frequently, and I look at that, and I go, it's labeled Maple Street, and it's a street that
I don't
can't
have
be
any eyes,
used.
noticed it.
So-
I didn't know if somebody brought it to your attention and wanted you to change.
Well, I mean, Maple Street is a common name that's used in many communities, and since it's not being used to use it, it's somewhere in that, yes.
Pretty nice. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second.
If you have a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, good meeting.
About the notice.
You can stay.